Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, August the 19th, with a big boom of energy. We're having a full moon in Aquarius. Full moons reveal things that have been hidden. It's a time of culmination and breaking through. In the sign of Aquarius, once a year, Aquarius brings your attention to innovation and freedom and sometimes rebellion. But this full moon is being impacted directly by Uranus. Uranus is actually the ruling planet for Aquarius. Uranus is liberation and freedom and rebellion. With this full moon being impacted in a hard angle to Uranus, there's going to be possibly some real unexpected surprises and upsets. To figure out which direction that might go in, also on Monday, expansive, prosperous Jupiter is going to form a square, a 90-degree angle, only happens every several years, to taskmaster restricted business Saturn. Saturn wants to contract, Jupiter wants to expand, and every several years, these two planets will form a 90-degree angle of this internal conflict, this internal push. Mercury is also retrograde, so there's going to be a lot of reevaluations going on. So with this full moon, there could be a lot of dramatic changes economically, that's the Jupiter-Saturn, around the world. And there may very well be a big upset in the stock markets. On Tuesday, the moon the moon went into Pisces on Monday, just after the full moon, because it was at the end of Aquarius. And around 3:53 p.m. Pacific time, the moon left Aquarius and went into Pisces. Aquarius is very intellectual, impersonal, detached energies. Pisces, like the exact opposite. It's very empathetic, it's compassionate, it's very sensitive. And the moon goes through each sign every 2.5 days. On Tuesday, the moon is in Pisces, sensitive, caring Pisces all day, but there's no other planetary events. So in some ways, it's kind of starting to calm down the energies of whatever kind of like shocked us. And that doesn't have to necessarily be the stock market. There could be some major structural crisis. That could be the Saturn. That could eventually impact us financially. But that is what happens if a dam, that's a structure, breaks. It's that kind of an earthquake. Saturn rules the earth sign Capricorn, Saturn rules the earth, and the Jupiter's trying to expand, and there could be a major earthquake that would cause billions of dollars in damage, but not necessarily impacting directly the stock market. So on Tuesday, the moon is only in Pisces, nothing else is going on, so the energies are calmer. Wednesday, the moon in Pisces will be favorable to Uranus around noon, 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Moon Uranus, it's going to bring in more emotional stimulation, excitement. I like Moon Uranus when they're favorable because it helps us get us out of our old stuck routine. Try something new, something more adventurous. But the moon will leave Pisces on Wednesday around and go into fiery Aries at 4:02 p.m. Pacific time. Now here, the big difference between Pisces and Aries is Pisces can gives that tendency to lose yourself, immerse yourself into someone else. Where when the moon's in Aries, the public tone is more on the self. The moon in Pisces, more compassionate, concerned about the welfare of others. The moon in Aries, more focus on what's good for you. But also, so the moon's in Aries, 4:02 p.m., Wednesday, Pacific time, for 2.5 days. On Thursday, the moon continues throughout Aries, fiery, independent, aggressive Aries. But the sun that's been in Leo, fiery Leo, for the last 4 weeks, goes into Virgo for the next 4 weeks. This will happen around 7:55 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. The quality of Virgo is more earthy, sensible, detailed-oriented, work-oriented. And for people in the northern latitudes, the Leo marked the end as the summer vacations are wrapping up. And then when the sun goes into Virgo, many people in the northern latitudes start thinking about going back to school, going back to work, going back to your regular routine. That's the Virgo. But Venus, pleasure-seeking Venus, will be in a hard angle to Mars. Now, Venus-Mars can stimulate a lot of romantic, sensual energies, but Venus is also a planet of finance. And Venus-Mars, you might be finding yourself, a little on edge or tense over money matters. But the same could apply over intimate, romantic matters. Fortunately, the sun's in Virgo, and the Virgo's going, because when the sun was still in Leo, we tend to over-dramatize and be a little bit more ego-oriented and theatrical. But Virgo, it helps us be more grounded, more sensible, more down to earth. On Friday, the moon in Aries, fiery Aries, goes void of course at 5:44 a.m. till 5 p.m. Pacific time. When the moon is void of course, the energy is flat, it's unproductive, you don't really make any really important decisions. At 5 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves fiery Aries and goes into steady, calming, grounding Taurus. During the day, decision-making communication Mercury, that has been retrograde since August the 4th to August the 28th, will be in harmony with Mercury. Mercury-Mars can give you the motivation, the stimulation to start tackling a lot of work projects. But because Mercury's still in retrograde, you don't want to be initiating new projects, but this is the time, a good day to be wrapping up old projects or projects that kind of fell to the wayside. Pull it off the shelf, dust it off, and start trying it again on Friday. Just be careful with the moon void, of course, everything I've just said in the positive with work projects, best after 5 p.m. Pacific time, when the moon is now in Taurus. All day Saturday, the moon's in Taurus. Nothing else is going on astrologically. So it's a particularly calming day, more grounded day. And on Sunday, moon in Taurus will be in harmony with pleasure-seeking romantic Venus. In fact, the sign Taurus is ruled by Venus. So the moon in Taurus trining Venus, this is around noon, 1 p.m. Pacific time, is very favorable, if you're depending on either Sunday brunch on the West Coast, or mid-afternoon on the East Coast, a lovely late dinner in Europe. Moon Venus is very compatible, sociable energies. The moon in Taurus will cross over liberating, rebellious Uranus in Taurus mid-afternoon Pacific time. You can expect some unexpected surprises, but it's very favorable to get out of a rut, except there might be some kind of a real upset that forces you to get out of your rut and do something else. And lastly, the moon leaves Taurus, goes into Gemini, communication, restless Gemini, at 8:04 p.m. Pacific time. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.